Coming up, we take a deep dive into the tiny yet mighty Canon R8 mirrorless camera. I've been using this little honey badger for well over a year now, and I can say that this camera is an absolute powerhouse, packing a huge amount of features into a versatile, compact body. It shoots stunning 4K video, but don't take my word for it. Stick around and see for yourself. We have a whole lot of amazing footage coming up next. Greetings friends, and welcome back to the show. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the Canon R8. Now, this little camera has quickly become one of my favorite of all time. Not necessarily for photography, but most definitely for video production. This little monster has a full frame 35mm sensor, and it shoots an absolutely stunning 4K video file. Now, I've been working with this camera for just over a year, and I have shot some absolutely magical footage. So in this episode, you are going to get to see through the lens what this little camera has captured in real time. I can't wait to show you. So let's get started. Now, before we go any further, I think it's a good idea to talk price. If you are new to photography, typically the first thing that you learn is that cameras are expensive. You can easily spend $10,000 on a new camera body and a handful of really nice lenses. And for those of us who actually have to function down here in reality, that's just not a realistic number. Enter the Canon R8. At the time of this recording, this little camera comes in at about $1,500 with a kit lens. Now that might still seem like a lot of money, and it certainly is. But when we compare it to something a little higher up in the food chain, such as a shiny new Canon R5 Mark II, it's starting to look like a pretty good bargain. In fact, you could pretty much buy 3 R8s for the price of one R5 Mark II. And how do you like them apples? $4,300 for a brand new camera body. Oh, I'm sorry, you actually want to be able to take a picture? Well, that will be another $1,300 for a lens. Thank you very much. Long story short, photography is expensive pretty much any way you slice it. But the Canon R8 actually hits that sweet spot that provides a huge amount of capability at a price point that will not require the harvesting of any major organs on the black market. Modern cameras come with all kinds of gizmos and gadgets, intelligent exposure modes, focus tracking, and even artificial intelligence, as if we need even more of that. But in my humble opinion, all of those gimmicks provide very little value compared to actual image quality. For me, image quality comes down to a basic combination of sharpness, color, and tone, and the R8 delivers all of these elements in spades. Hook up any one of Canon's many brilliant R-type lenses, and it literally looks like you are filming a box office movie. The full-frame 35mm sensor soaks up light and delivers a smooth, flat, raw profile that is just begging to be color-graded. This is the stuff that cinematic dreams are made of, giving you plenty of creative latitude in post-production. If you are into the landscape photography scene, you probably could not ask for a better body for cinematography. This pint-sized powerhouse only takes up a sliver of space in the hiking bag, and it can deliver spectacular footage in virtually any condition. The 4K files just look amazing, and the camera gives me peace of mind. Every time Mother Nature delivers something spectacular, I get a warm feeling inside knowing that it's being recorded by the R8. Anytime I go out on a photography expedition, this camera is always with me. And in the portrait world, things get even better. We can easily create a creamy, shallow depth of field, and this is typically what separates the amateurs from the pros. Throw the background out of focus and turn your subject into an instant movie star. You can build a completely surrealistic world just by opening the iris to isolate your subject. Let the full-frame 35mm sensor go to work, and you're instantly creating beautiful movie quality scenes. All right, so let's talk autofocus. I would consider the intelligent autofocus system in this camera to be absolutely top-notch. It does an absolutely fantastic job of focusing in on the eye and locking focus every single time. Now, I use this camera for a lot of interview style footage of what we're doing pretty much right now, and it's never let me down. Honestly, I wish I had these intelligent eye autofocus features a long time ago. They certainly would have saved me a lot of time. But if you're looking for a great portrait camera, a great personal vlogging camera, if you are a one-man show and you do not have a camera crew or anybody else to help you with your production work, this little camera is going to save you an enormous amount of time. Basically, you just sit down at a table like this, you frame up your shot, and the camera will take care of the rest, lock in perfect focus every single time. It is a major lifesaver. It will save you a lot of headache, a lot of time, and it will deliver high quality footage every single time. I can't stress that enough. Now, is this camera good for sports or nature? I don't think that I'm qualified to really answer that question because I don't shoot a lot of sports and I don't shoot a lot of nature. So I don't know how this camera's capabilities are at locking onto a bird or at a player running across the field. So if you're looking for a great sports camera, I think I would definitely refer you to Frono's Photo. That guy does a lot of sports stuff on his channel. He shoots a lot of professional teams in Philadelphia, and he can talk a lot more to the technical aspects and pretty much all capabilities of cameras across all ranges in the sports arena. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is not really a sports camera, but it definitely delivers 100% on the personal vlogging capabilities. So again, if you're a one-man show and you don't have a lot of people to help you out, this little guy is gonna nail your autofocus every single time. I also really enjoy this camera for its capabilities in shooting video portraits. Now, I do a lot of portrait photography with my old school Canon 5 DSR. We'll talk about that in another episode. But this is almost always my secondary video production shooter for portrait. So if you are doing an interview like we are now, or if you're actually shooting portraits of a person, this little camera does a great job of locking in on that autofocus and getting you an absolutely stellar image every single time.
Since most photo cameras these days conveniently pack in the additional capability of video, it makes sense that we start to utilize some of that 4K power to capture the occasional portrait from a video still frame. Lately, I have found this to be a really handy technique for getting a little bit more bang for your buck when you're out on a photo shoot. I run the R8 as a video companion to my photo camera. This means that for every photographic portrait we capture with our stills camera, we also have an equivalent 4K video portrait. Extracting still frames from these video clips has been very rewarding. In fact, some of the best images we've captured over the last year have been from video footage.
Is the Canon R8 good for travel photography? I would say absolutely. This little guy packs the perfect combination of small size form factor and lots of powerful capabilities. It also has the full range of the all-new Canon RF lens series. It is a full-frame 35mm sensor, so there's no crop or conversion factors, so pretty much any lens you hook up to it, it's gonna get you exactly what you're looking for. I do a lot of travel photography with this camera. We do photo expeditions all the time, and it goes with me pretty much everywhere. Is the Canon R8 good for cinematography? I would say absolutely, 100%. This is my primary landscape video cinematography camera. I never go anywhere without it. It's always in the bag. It's always there to shoot every nugget of footage that we come across whenever we do a photography expedition. And while we're on the subject of cinematography, is the Canon R8 good for time-lapse photography? I would say absolutely, yes it is. This is my primary go-to camera for all things time-lapse. It has a built-in intervalometer, which is extremely easy to use, and you can string together 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 raw files all in a row without breaking a sweat, which gives you an enormous amount of exposure latitude when you're post-processing your images. You can take your raw files from this camera, line them up in Lightroom, get them dialed in just beautifully, produce a series of images that you can then import into After Effects, and it creates the juiciest, most luscious, wonderful time lapses that you could ever possibly imagine.
When it comes to time lapse, the Canon R8 has been my go-to camera for the past year because it makes the entire process extremely easy. And it always delivers fantastic results. You don't need to add any special gadgets onto the camera because the built-in intervalometer feature takes care of everything for you. You can easily string together 500 raw photos without breaking a sweat. And when it comes to post-production, we can enjoy more than enough exposure latitude to balance almost any lighting equation. So pack a tiny R8 into your landscape bag and get big-ticket time-lapse results with every expedition.
Honestly, it's a little bit hard to believe just how much power this tiny little camera can deliver when it comes to the landscape cinematography and time-lapse world. I'm blown away every time I see the footage that comes out of this camera. Okay, so who is this camera for? To be honest, I think it's for everybody. If you are a beginner looking for your very first camera, this is gonna pack a whole lot of punch. It's gonna give you a whole lot of features at a very, very attractive price point. Secondly, if you are a seasoned pro and you need a secondary or backup camera, the Canon R8 is also an excellent choice. Like I say, it goes with me absolutely everywhere. So if you're looking for a camera that can do just about anything, this little guy is gonna pack a whole lot of capability into that tiny price point and that tiny body. So beginners, yes. Professionals, yes. This little camera is one of the rare exceptions that knocks it out of the park on both sides of the coin. So pros and cons, I think I've pretty much been admonishing this camera the entire time. But as far as the cons go, I would say battery life. The batteries totally suck. But that can be true of pretty much any mirrorless camera out there. These little machines just drink energy from the second that you turn them on because they have to power up all the displays and all the computers and all the processors and all the things. In the old days when we had mirrors bouncing light around pentaprisms, you could save a lot of battery life. But the mirrorless cameras, they drink battery like a Viking swilling beer in Valhalla. So don't expect your batteries to last a long time. Get some extra ones, save yourself the trouble, don't miss the shot.
And finally, we have regaled the virtues of all things video ad nauseum. So how are the photos? They're fine, they're great, everything is nice and sharp, and the raw files give you plenty of exposure latitude in post-production. Like I say, for me, this little camera is mostly for video, but of the thousands of individual photographs which go into making our time-lapse content, we can safely say that the pictures are great.
All right, should you buy the Canon R8? I mean, that's totally up to you. Admittedly, I'm a Canon fanboy. I have this camera, I love this camera, and I'm gonna continue to use this camera for the foreseeable future. Canon is not paying me any money to say this. I just really enjoy using this particular camera. It's been really good for me. It definitely packs all the capabilities that I need down into a small package, and it's ideal for hiking on long photo expeditions, going into the wilderness. If you have to save weight and you need a lot of power in your arsenal, this is definitely the way to go. All right, friends, as always, thank you so much for joining us. I certainly hope that you had fun on our trip down memory lane with the Canon R8. Now, if you have any R8 stories that you would like to share, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. We got a lot of cool new stuff coming up, and I don't want you to miss out. That's gonna do it for now. We'll see you in the next lesson.